Okay. Okay. So it's recording. Hi guys. Welcome to the iGTa consultancy space. First of all, it's kind of like I'm kind of like happy and sad at the same time because happy because like there is potentials and like there's successes and you guys are here. The fact that you guys are here also like makes me happy. And sad because like the term is ending already just a few months and it's been like a wild run, I would say, like a roller coaster. So you guys can see like what are the type of things that you will get to do as iGTa MCVP of AIESEC in Malaysia, and what are the learnings that you will get to experience throughout this experience. Okay, experience throughout this experience. Okay, right. So we can. Okay, I am recording already. And then we can move forward. Yeah, I'm Sahan Gunasekara. I'm CVP iGTA for the term, and I also have 3 years of experience. And my key sort of turning points are listed here in my AIESEC journey, LCVP iGTA Sales Innovation, and I was Special Events VP for Youth, Marketing VP for Recruitment, and OGV member and team leader. So there has been more, but I don't want to list every single thing. I just listed the thing that meant the most to me in my AIESEC experience. And so each one of these things have been sort of like a unique experience for me and like a turning point in my journey. So that is why I mentioned this stuff. And yeah, so I'm an electronics engineering undergraduate, currently in third year. So I still have my final year project after MC term. So yeah, a lot of people ask me like how I manage with academics and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically been my experience for the past almost 7, 8 months being in CVP. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster. So that's where I sit. Okay, so the content that we are going to discuss in this session is like what is iGTa first, and we are going to discuss I would say in detail about the evolution of iGTa because it's really important to know how this product has evolved throughout the terms to sort of forecast a growth path for the session. And then what are the achievements that we have had so far, and what are our focuses right now, and what are the suggested focuses for the next term, which will be really important for you guys, and what are our bottlenecks at the moment, and our learnings, not our learnings, my learnings as a MCVP of iGTA, and some resources and contacts as well. Okay, so basically what iGTA is like doing is to provide support towards talent attraction for companies. But what makes us different is the leadership development that we give towards youth. So there's a lot of HR companies, and there's a lot of companies who are, to be honest, like they are very much better than us at doing what we do. Not what we do, I mean, doing like just providing HR. They're so much better at it than us. Like they can provide HR quicker than us. They can provide maybe better skilled people than us. But what we are doing, what makes us different is that we care about the experience of the interns that we give. Like we care about their journey, their leadership development journey. So that is what differentiates iGTa from just another HR company, right? Okay. So next we move on to the evolution, the history, I would say. So back in these times, like 16, 17, very old time, we had two products called Incoming Global Talent and Incoming Global Entrepreneur. So yeah, entrepreneur is sort of aligned towards startups, and talent was aligned towards like SMEs and basically any company. I think there was a date, if I remember correctly, like the company should have these properties to qualify as IGT, or it would be qualified as IGE. So that was the procedure before. So it was a bit messy, but even like this was even before I joined ISEC. So I also like know from like hearsay, it was a bit messy when defining like what companies fall under IGT and what companies fall under IGE. So then it actually got converted into iGTA and iGTE, right? So this is what basically happened during this term. You guys can read through. I have also attached the performances, the XBAR, for these things. So you can see those days we used to have like 30, 27, around that amount of realizations for iGTA physical. Back then we didn't have VPP. Okay, so 17, 18 term mostly focused. I think one thing that they did well is that they opened a lot more from MC. So they did national sales. The national sales actually requires like a lot of capacity, like a big ESTT, like a set of ESTs who are into B2B like that. So basically, what opens from MC means is like we open the opportunities from on MC and then later downscale it to LCs to sort of conduct the realization and approval, realization, and the experience. Okay, so yeah, that is something that happened during the 17-18 term. And since then, we have had like three categories for pricing of iGTa. So, sorry, not pricing, like mostly the product contribution of iGTa. It's the amount that LCs will give to the contribute to the MC's budget for each realization. So for that, like we have three categories right now. For example, the three categories are actually when the MC does the opening and LC does the rest. When LC does the entire thing, or when the MC does the opening and the approval and pass to LC for just the realization, the CXP part. So basically, like you guys can see this in the reference documents. Basically, I will attach the what do you call it, the pricing sheet. So yeah, you guys can look more into those stuff later. So yeah, another thing here is that companies were super high expectation and misaligned with the VPs. So expectation setting is like a weakness that we had for a long time, and it sort of exists in iGTa. It's a common thing, but that is something that we constantly fight. I mean, even in this term, even in my term, like we struggle with poor expectation setting between the companies and the VPs and the membership basically. So there's like improper communication. So that's something that need to take note on going forward. Um, okay, 1819 was mostly focused on aligning S&D. And I think if I remember correctly, like this was a term where the two products got reclassified into iGTA and iGTE as well. I'm not sure if it's 1819 or 1920. Let's see. Okay, so this one is mostly we sort of dropped in the realization number. It's like yeah, so I mean by this time, like what happened was like there was a lot of misalignment in S&D. So one thing that you will be hearing a lot in iGTA strategies or iGTA evolution, whatever, is to like align S&D. So what does this aligning S&D actually mean? It's like in this case, right? Demand is the demand from the companies that we partner up with. So they are demanding for youth. So what is the supply? The supply is the interns who are coming from international to work in Malaysia. So supply comes from IR. So if you have good supply, that means you have good IR. So if you have a good demand for interns, that means you have a lot of partners, right? So that is what basically S&D means in iGTA. So don't confuse it to be the other way because I mean, demand could be like the type of opportunities that EPs demand. You can think of it like that as well, but sorry, that's not the proper way it's defined in iGTA. Demand is the demand from companies, supply is the supply from international partners, right? Okay, so aligning these two means that we have two options. We can just look at the opportunities first, what we have, and then we can find IR to match those opportunities. Or we can find IR first and look at what type of opportunities do they demand, and then find companies that suit that demand. So out of these two, it's sort of up to you what you want to do, what you want to promote during your term. But personally, I think since most of the time, sales is the bottleneck, right? Not IR. Sales is harder than IR usually. In IR, we are dealing with different ISEC entities, which is easier. But in sales, we are dealing with external, right? That is harder. So what I recommend is like focus on sales first in terms of aligning S&D, right? Focus on sales first and then go and find IR to match that match the demand from the companies. Match your supply to the demand. Basically, that is it. So that is what was practiced during this term. I mean, it has popped up in several terms, like you guys can see as we move forward. What else? What else I want to tell you guys? Product packaging based on two sub products. Network competency building, new pricing model. Okay, so this is where they came up with the pricing model that we use for even today that pricing model is relevant. So there is a 2019 pricing model is the one that we still use. Okay. In term 2019-20, they have finally aligned S&D, but spoiler alert, it's not going to stay this way forever. Okay, so this is around the time that we got COVID, and that resulted in a drop of performance. So we have only like 23 total for realized, and that is by the time like we lost the visa quota as well for physical realization. Okay, so pricing model changed, but this one was never legislated. So we still use the old pricing model. So there was like poor legislation. I mean, the legality aspect of iGTa was also kind of poor back then. So yeah, moving forward to term 2021, which is my grand predecessor term. Yeah. Yes, yeah, it's my grand predecessor term. I think. Yeah. Okay, so then by this time we were sort of adapting to VPP already because COVID came and borders closed. People did not want to go on exchanges. So everything shifted to VPP. But that actually went well because a lot of the companies were also shifting to more virtual setting. So they were okay to accept VPP. And this term, VPP sort of just skyrocketed. It blew. So what AIESEC in Malaysia did was like uh, keeping GT resumption aside, they completely focused on VPP, and that actually went well. Moving forward in the term 21-22 as well, right? They completely focus on full focus on VPP, and then also focus on partner experience. And there was something called local talent. Uh, yeah, this one is very interesting. It's like the EVA initiative, MyV, that we have right now. So it's sort of like that, but for global talent. I mean, it's like we are finding local companies and we are finding local talent for local companies. It's the opposite of global talent. Okay, so this one was like they tried to pilot it and they actually ran it in did it start this term or in the previous one? Not mentioned. I think it started in 1920 term, but it's only mentioned in 2021. This one, like they started to run it, but the problem was that they could not find interns who would like local ins who would pay ISEC, pay a third party organization to get an internship in a different organization when they like we didn't have enough value proposition to justify the pricing, right? So that is basically my idea of what happened. And local talent is, I guess it's um for the GT membership to run it, personally, I think it's like not very relevant. It's the pretty much the opposite of global talent. It takes like life and sense out of global talent. I mean, it's a bit harsh to say it like that, but I mean, that is why I sort of like did not want to run this during my term. There was like a suggestion to from the NEB as well, like whether we are going to run. Okay, my dog is going crazy. Whether we are going to run local talent or not during 22-23, and it was sort of a pass because of that. Like the product did not really feel relevant to the ISEC portfolio, and I mean it could be done as a pro strategy, but still we could not I mean the previous term could not align supply and demand for the product. That is why we just local talent was like a, I guess, a one-time hit. Not, it was not a hit, but I guess it's like a one-time thing. So maybe, I mean, maybe can try it as a profit initiative, but it's up to you. I mean, I wouldn't recommend because it gets focus from our products, which is GT and remote. Yeah. Okay, so in summer, yeah, it's nothing very special, but it's like maintaining the stability of operation. Okay, so one was Jen Shuen's term. So it's my predecessor. So he was actually double rolling as NPD, and he was able to GTA to a very high level as well while double rolling as NPD. So this is basically what happened in term. And in his term, okay, so this focus is actually common to this term and the current term as well, right? Uh, the four focus fields that we are focusing on is BD, BA, and marketing. So if you are iGTa of AIESEC Malaysia, you should know this like by heart. BDBA IT marketing. So what we have left out is finance and engineering, which I would say finance. One reason is that the country's finance is like regulations are very specific. So for an international person to come and learn the basics from the beginning, it's not very feasible. So that is how the lack of demand in finance is justified. And in terms of engineering, from the information that I got, the Malaysian market for engineering is pretty saturated. And another thing is like a lot of the applications does not require engineers, international engineers. Okay, because there's a lot of engineering of students and everyone like either studying in Malaysia or like Malaysian themselves. Okay, so that is why the we have chosen these four as our fields, and these four has been working for quite some time now. Most of the opportunities that we get are either BD or BA or IT. Marketing would be the fourth place, I would say, but still we do get. Um, Okay, so what else do I want to mention out of this? So this slide actually defines our all the products and all the ranges that we have. So if you guys don't know like what are the sub things of iGTa, the categorizations, you can refer to this slide. So basically we offer three types of internships: physical, partly remote, and fully remote. So VPP is I mean, we still call it VPP, but technically it's now called remote feature. Okay, so it's no longer called VPP because it was sort of legislated out of the global compendium because VPP was like a pilot run, right? Now it's been official and it's in the compendium and it's part of GTA. It's called the fully remote feature. Okay, so yeah, moving forward, moving forward means moving into this table. Uh, so the durations are short, mid, and long. You can see it here. Actually, global level, long means 1.5 years, but in Malaysia, it means 1 year. The brands, I think it's because the maximum that we can visa for right now is 9 months, right? There's no way for us to go beyond 9 months without doing anything illegal unless we do like a visa run or something like that. So that is why it's confined to 1 year. Maybe 1 year, like we can do something, but for 1.5 years, it will be risky, right? So you'll have to apply PVP 3 times while doing visa runs. It's very risky. So that is why long term is confined to 1 year maximum, because then we can do like one PVP and one social visit. Okay. So short term and mid term don't have much problem with visa after we go the after we get the quota, right? Because PVP maximum duration is 6 months. Mhm. Okay. So partly remote, we have sort of, I mean, we can do, but we don't get a lot of opportunities. In my term, like we never got a single partly remote opportunity opening. So we have naturally defined the focus as physical and remote. Right? Remote is also sort of declining in demand, but there is a market still. So physical has the highest demand, and partly remote, I mean, partly remote is a backup option. Let's say you want to realize GTA, but GTA is like you mess up the visa or you won't get the visa on time, then it automatically converts into a partly remote most of the time. So that is actually one of the realizations ongoing like that as well. So yeah, that's basically what happens usually in my experience in partly remote. But yeah, it's there. I mean, if you want, you can sell partly remote also. It's included in the proposal. So yeah, just that there's less demand for it. Okay, you can find some resources here as well, but I have attached some in the bottom. Okay, so finally we move on to the focus of this term. One thing was B2B marketing. So one thing that we worked on is like actually promoting the GTA product as it's sort of inbound marketing, I would say, inbound sales or inbound marketing, however you want to call it. We market our product in LinkedIn, in Facebook. We haven't done Facebook yet, but mostly in LinkedIn. And then we get requests from companies that companies actually come and reach out to us. And then we sort of nurture the leads from MC side. but we don't consider it as an MC sale because MC isn't the one signing the contract and MC isn't the one creating the opening. So what we do is like we just nurture the leads first and then we pass it down to the LCs to carry on with the opening. So one thing that can be considered for next term is to actually do MC sales. As in MC would do the opening, MC would sign the contract, and maybe for realization and for CXP can pass on to the LCs. Okay. Uh yeah, some of the tactics: testimonial connection, partner showcasing, platform diversification, which means trying different platforms, and campaign boosting means like marketing. Okay, so I mentioned this one will be popping up several times, right? So Agile Salesforce and S&D mastering. Okay. This means like basically aligning incentives. So it's basically my strategy that I told. We look at how what is the demand that we have on the sales side, B2B side, and we try to sustain demand, and then we look at the supply, how we can align the supply towards the demand. So that is basically the gift of this strategy. One thing that's not related here is like BD iGTa synergy is also happening right now. It's like pitching global talent to BD partners. Not very related, but I put it under this one because that is where it's most related to. It's also a tactic that we are using in this term. Another thing is sales rounds. I'll explain it in a little bit. And building sales momentum. Okay, so this one is also, if you look at the global talent growth path, right? You can see this like continuously during like every single term has some strategy aligned towards building the competency of the membership, right? Because it's a necessary thing. Our membership is changing every year, and we need to look after their competency. We need to support their competency. For example, today we had Sales Summit, which is an initiative uh, to improve the sales competency. Sales Summit is done by with collaboration with BD, BD Summit and Sales Summit. BD Summit and iGTa together is called Sales Summit. So yeah, that is basically type of initiatives that we have, and I also do commission L&D weekly. I mean, we try to do it as often as possible, depending on like what are the topics that the VPs are requesting. So stuff like this we constantly have to do to keep the competency going because the reason is that we have a very how do you say, like very changing, I mean very the turnover is very high. HR turnover in AIESEC is like very high. So that is why we need to constantly keep them engaged and keep them sort of up to the standard, right? And another thing is like building sales momentum. If let's say for example, this time MRD always delay, like recruitment is delay. So EB transition also delay. And right now we are in the middle of the sales week, and it's like now only we are doing the competency building, right? I mean, it's already late, right? We are sort of missing the golden months of attraction. So I would say the golden months of attraction are among uh, March, February, April, and then again in winter around August, September, October, that time. So you can analyze the data from Expa and find it out to yourself as well, what's happening around the world. Once again, go through the resources. Okay, so those months are being missed because of like because we are like we don't have proper planning towards building sales momentum. So that is something that we need to take note on going forward with the product. Okay. Looking at the strategy timeline, wait. Okay, so in the strategy timeline, what I want to show you is something that new thing that we did this term is we break the attraction peak into different rounds, and on the beginning of each round, we conduct pre-attraction. Pre-attraction meaning market research, that kind of stuff. So it's the market research, attraction, market research, attraction. So one of the benefits is that it reduces the sales fatigue, especially because during the towards the end of the term of an iGTa member, they really get tired because the conversion rates are very low, right? Anyway, the conversion rates are very low, and they face a lot of rejection, and they get demotivated, stuff like that. So to avoid that, what we are doing is like we are breaking it into rounds, and we are sort of giving them a break in the middle, in terms of attraction. And yeah, they can have a fresh start each month. So it reduces sales fatigue. That is one thing. Another important thing is that it keeps us aligned with the rapidly changing market. So even though like Malaysia is like rather stable country, the market demand and the new trends and everything are pretty much changing very rapidly. So it keeps us aligned with the market. Otherwise, like if we do pre-attraction, let's say in February, and do attraction for April, May, June, uh, then by June, you would still be running on the attraction to like pre-attraction you did on the beginning of the year. By then, the trends and everything are very different. The personas and everything that you build are not relevant anymore. So that is why we recommend. So this is like a recommendation. I mean, the attraction peak and the pre-attraction peak are set, but the breaking it down into rounds is like a recommendation from MC to LC. So I don't know how far LC is actually implementing this one because I cannot monitor each week what is thing that they are doing, like if they are focusing on attraction pre-attraction or not. I mean, yeah, we just get the focuses like what is happening around the LC, but it's very hard to keep track of like what they're actually doing, right? So that is why it's like a suggestion. So if they, I have mostly what I do is like I downscale to them what is the importance of doing that. Okay, so right now we are around here. We have done Solid Summit, and we still have a networking event for LinkedIn Plant and through our commission L&D as well. I think I have forgotten to attach the functional timeline. I think I will attach it later in the site. Functional timeline, basically what happening right now is attraction and pre-attraction cover already. So consideration will already started as well because we have been running attraction for about a month. Uh, and we'll be having realization peak and yeah, summer realization peak will be towards June and experience will be possibly towards ending towards, yeah, it's moving towards winter anyway. Yeah. Okay, so achievement wise, right? The greatest achievement I would say in the past term is that we have the highest number of VPP realizations uh, out of all countries running VPP. I mean, not every country is running VPP, only selected few entities have been running VPP. And out of those, AIESEC Malaysia has 13, which is like a huge gap ahead of all the other entities running VPP. So yeah, that is something that we can be proud of for achieving in the previous term. Um, okay, okay. So this is some proposed focus for the next term, right? One thing is like focus more towards physical GTA because looking at the market right now, even though we have very good VPP performance, physical GTA is something that we can look into. This does not mean like uh, drop VPP, not at all, because VPP is like one of the greatest assets that we have. It's like basically, I'm not saying to jump both foot on GTA, just keep one foot on VPP and then keep your other foot on GTA. So, because I see a lot of potential, like if we get the quota, like judging by how hard it is to get the visa quota in Malaysia, if we do get quota, I can like just imagine the demand that would come for us, right? Just imagine how much our value proposition would be if we successfully get this quota. So there's a huge potential for GTA during the next term. So our estimation is like within April, we are trying to get the visa quota. And after that, it will be sort of in time for GTA. So that is why I mentioned focus on physical GTA. Okay, so focus on long-term partnership. I think BD side also has this one. Long-term partnerships are pretty crucial for iGTa. It's okay. So the context is like a lot of the long-term partnerships have been broken or have been sort of let go because they were long-term partnerships before the COVID time. And when COVID came, they didn't want to go like remote internships. They didn't want to do. And then some companies like had budget cuts and stuff like that, and the partnerships got terminated. And right now we have very few long-term partnerships, right? Another challenge is that our VPs have very less knowledge on the long-term partnerships because it has been passed through several layers of transition, right? They don't even know what stages the partners were left off at, like if they have done realization before or not. And in terms of companies, also people change, right? So it's barely hard to tell that we have even had the partnership with that company. So yeah, that's some of the situation right now. That is something that we need to combat in the next term, focus on building long-term partnerships. So from this term, we have encouraged the LCs to keep better track of the partners, the current partners, so that it can be passed on to generation. So that is one initiative that can be carried forward to the next term as well. Okay, so looking to expansion. Expansion as in like out of all the entities in AIESEC Malaysia, only five run iGTa, right? But iGTa, looking at the potential, especially for physical next term, I feel like it could be like a profit diversification for a lot of LCs to consider. So you cannot like just go and like open the function in different LCs. You have to do like proper research on what LCs can get to pilot this and how you are going to handle like LCs, like especially starting a function, you will need to support them a lot, right? So how can we do it? So expansion also, I think some VPs, some MCVPs before have tried to do it, but it's been five for a long time. It haven't expanded for a long time. But right now, I think it's highly overdue, especially considering the potential for the next time, right? Legality management is like basically revising the contract pricing model and everything like that. So far, we have not had any major problem with the contract. So that is why it has not been revised before, revised or like we haven't like submit any motion in terms of iGTa to like change in this term. So other thing is pricing. Pricing still appears to work. So I think I will share you guys about the pricing for this term as well uh, in the resources. So the pricing model is still relevant, but I'm not really sure for the next term we can like go another term without any change for the contract or without any change for the pricing. So in towards the end of my term, I will also be exploring what kind of like if there is any changes to be done as part of maybe transition for the next MCEB as well. What are the changes and what is the support that I can give to make these changes? So legality management is something that needs to be focused on next term as well. Okay, and all right. Some of the learning as for me as an MCVP, right? Uh, Number one is like industry understanding, which is like for me like it's a whole new world, right? Like they say. Industry in Malaysia is very different, I would say. It's not friendly, it's not like too professional either. Sort of a mix between the two. So basically I had like the fact that I got to go meetings with CEOs and people from Malaysian companies is like a very unique experience for me. I don't think it's like once in a lifetime chance for me, right? Just to be in those meetings. So yeah, it's one of the learnings that I got, like how industries work in Malaysia and stakeholder management. This one is very important. So wherever you go, internal stakeholder management and external stakeholder management is very important. Like internal stakeholders, as in your membership and your maybe MC team, how you can deal with them. Especially for me, like it was a different culture, right? But let's say if you're Malaysian as well, still it will be a very good experience because you will be dealing with a huge network, right? It's very big and it's spread across universities, and it's a really good internal stakeholder network that you can have to deal with. And then we have external stakeholder management, which is sort of stepping on the previous point as well, right? Yeah, you will get to deal with a lot of externals in terms of, let's say, visa side, company side, partner side, stuff like that. Yeah. And B2B sales engagement skills, sales conversion. Basically, in iGTa, you do get to experience this kind of stuff, sales stuff. And the commission management also very important. How can we sort of like coach an entire commission to grow without like what is the support that we can provide to them constantly, and how do we support them to grow? Like we cannot like spoon feed them everything, every focus as well. But how can you still balance and help them the best you can while not like while giving them their own leadership experience as well, basically. Okay, so dealing with visa and external issues is being like a roller coaster for me. It's like at first I was like very clueless, but then I explore, I read, and I go to sites, I get a lot of PDFs, and I ask a lot of people. I mean, it's like to me, like as an international working with visa in Malaysia in a different country, so it's very weird for me at first, but right now I seem to have like a handle on it. So dealing with visa itself has been like a very good experience for me. Okay, so let's move forward. Yeah, that is basically it. You can contact me anytime. The details are here. And the resources, actually, I will attach more resources here, like the commission tracker. And I think the VPP, the tool that I showed you, oh, it's actually linked in that sheet. So wait, can I go back? Yeah, this one is already linked. So you can click here and go to the analysis tool. Yeah, I will attach the commission trackers in addition to these things. Commission trackers, the first page will have like a whole other set of resources. I mean, you can read all the resources for your entire yeah, there's so much. You can just explore. And I will also, and you can also go to this one, Internship Academy. So this also is like a web, like you go in there and there's a lot more resources in there. And you go to those resources, there's a lot more material. Like you can learn iGTa from A to Z just by this Internship Academy. So yeah, make sure you guys check these things out. And contact lists are also there. So when I put down the commission tracker, the contact list and the search tool also, the search tool will have all the contacts of the VPs. So you can contact the VPs maybe to get some context if you are applying and if you are like coming for the interviews and stuff. It's always good to contact the VPs and especially international. Like I contacted a lot of LCPs and I contacted the MC team as well before I was applying. So make sure you talk to the actual people who are running operations to understand their troubles, understand their problems, understand their bottlenecks, and see how you can actually support during the next time. So that is basically what I expect from uh, from a candidate as well. Yeah. Okay, so going back right to the questions. Okay, this one. Okay, so I already have some questions. I will just answer them here, and later I think I will type the answer. Uh, okay, cool. What are the top three bottlenecks ISEC in Malaysia and propose solution for those? Okay, top three bottlenecks, I would say one is visa, right? Uh, visa, how the solution is like, I think hopefully if everything goes right by the next time we should be having visa, so that won't be a like needing a solution for next time. But I would just like keeping the visa L&D going in transition, one thing, and appointing PIC for visa. Yeah, those are two things that I want to suggest. So that there will be one person that knows the process, and anyone can go to like that person and ask for that. And the other thing is like can constantly follow up with the visa team, my experts, and like let's say if you are going for another PVP application or something like that, you can constantly keep in track, right? So it's always good to have a visa PIC for that. And I think visa PIC could be most probably EST. I would recommend, yeah. Other bottleneck is sales competency. Sales competency is like basically right now, if you ask, because the membership transition is like it's like everyone is new basically. The VPs are new, the members are new. Everyone is new, so they have a lot of competency building and a lot of experience to get before they become like a very good salespersons, I would say. I mean, they're getting there, and how fast they will get there is actually up to us as well. Like we also play a part in terms of what L&D and how fast we can provide it to them. That thing is there. And another bottleneck I would say is HR gap. Yeah, a lot of LCs are facing HR right now. I mean, it's not like we can remove members from other functions and replace to iGTa. We cannot do that because other operations also need to run. what we need to do is like how can we make our SOPs more efficient so that a lower membership can achieve a greater result. So basically that is what we are going to do. Lack of this comp and HR gap. Okay, I will expand on the answers later. How can we make the visa process more smooth and have a quick process time for EPs? Visa process more smooth. Okay, so right now the visa process is non-existent, I would say, because we don't have the quota yet. Basically, how the visa process is going to be is like we apply, like once we open the position with the company, we apply for a new projection. Let's say the company wants to hire people, we apply for a projection of three, and then we contact the company back to gather the documents needed to apply the quota. For example, the job description, the salary documents, and the contracts and stuff like that. So once we get them, we submit the quota application, which would take 5 to 10 days. And after that, we will get the quota, and then then we start matching, right? Before matching, we have to do that, and then I think that's to make the visa process smoother. If we can do it like parallelly while they're matching, that would be great, right? The point is like you can do it before or you can do it parallelly, but you should not wait to do it after. This is my advice that I would give for the next term. Like only start, only start to approve, accept EPs after you have accepted the quota. So the EP is like it, otherwise it will be very hard to keep the EPs engaged once they have been accepted to the company, but they still cannot be realized. So that is the situation right now, right? So that won't happen. I think that process would make it a bit more smoother. Yeah. And appointing visa PIC would also help very much. Yeah. What are alternative ways in which suitable EP profiles for CVs can be obtained apart from CV pools? IR partnership groups. Wait, let me read again. What are alternative ways in which suitable EP profiling can be obtained apart from CV pools, IR partnership groups, and expat applications? Let me see. Mm, the usual way to obtain CVs is expat applications, right? So you have crossed that one off, apart from expat applications. And the next way is to do offline marketing, which is through IR groups. So besides that, also we have CV pools, that's true. And besides that, I would say maybe through contacts, word of mouth. Like that's one thing that we used to do back in the day. For example, we built connections through IR, right? So we contact them personally and ask like, do you have anyone matching for this opportunity? So there was an instance where one of the friends of our IR partner, the person, I think it was from an LC, so it was a VP. The VP's friend was realized. So yeah, we can go through personal connection as well. Wait, let me just think and type the answer, like, because like you have crossed off the major ways to obtain CVs, and we are looking for the niche ways, right? So I think I can think of some more, but yeah, I will later type because time is also going. How can we have more B2B openings that are aligned with EP background? Okay. Who want to intern in? Okay, okay. So this is like the thing that I explained earlier about S&A. So one option is that you can align your B2B openings, the EP background, or you can align your EP backgrounds with your B2B openings, which is much easier. Right? Because B2B openings is the other like the hard things to obtain. You can be very picky when it comes to B2B opening. For example, if a company comes to us and says, okay, we need interns for engineering, right? You cannot say like, okay, we don't focus on engineering, so just go find someone else. No, we don't say that because it's a rare thing that a company comes for us to look for interns, right? So what you need to do then is like you need to look into your IR and see if you can find any if there's any countries that you can get engineers from, right? I'm sure there are countries. I'm sure there are IR. I mean, ISEC is present in like 124 plus countries. And I mean, you can find one country that gives engineers, right? It's very hard to find a company that actually wants to partner up with IG. So that's, I would say, is the more rare thing. So what you should really be doing is like aligning your EP backgrounds towards your B2B openings. But let's say, to answer your question, right, without saying that that's not the question that you'd be asking. To answer your question, actually, how can we align more B2B? It's like basically in when we are developing customer persona for B2B, that is in market research, we look at what are the types of companies that we should approach, right? So there, what we consider is like mostly even in today's session, right? What we consider is our own historical data, one thing. Another thing is the external trends, right? When we're coming up with customer persona. And another thing is like what type of companies are interested in us. So we consider all those things. But one thing that we rarely consider is the supply that we can offer. I mean, if we can integrate that into our pre-attraction SOPs, our market research SOPs, to consider what type of the EP background we have, and then sort of integrate that into the customer persona of the companies that we are looking for. For example, right, last in my I think last year towards the end, we had an IR call with Hong Kong, and they said they are running a separate program specifically for UI UX developers, right? The ISEC in Hong Kong is running a program, and by that, their goal is to send their EPs to different countries for UI and UX jobs, right? So we have a very there like once you get informed that you have a very specific, and I sort of downscaled it to commission also, and you have a very specific EP background, right? UI and UX developers from Hong Kong. Okay. So then you can like integrate that to your market research. You can like see what type of companies might need UI UX developers from Hong Kong, and you can go to like app development sites who will definitely need that, right? App development companies. So you can take a list of app development companies and reach out to them. And you can take a bunch of app development companies who have ties with China, who work for China. For example, there's a TikTok uh, head office or something in Malaysia, right? So maybe you can approach them like that. For example, you can think, right? You can take that lead and sort of go from there. What about how you think? I mean, those type of things can be done on national level or LC level as well. This question is basically a sales question, so that's why I had to explain it that way. Okay, next we have how can we have more B2B openings? Oh, this is the same question. Is re-racing previous B2B partners viable? If not, how can we make B2B partners more sustainable? Okay, also interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, re-racing B2B partners is very viable because like what is the best quality that a company can have is a company is actually interested to work with us, right? So that is the best quality a company can have, and the previous partners, B2B partners, already has that quality, and they have already partnered up with us. So assuming they had a good experience in NICEC, they would definitely want to partner up again. So what we need to do is like yeah, wait, how can we make the B2B partners more sustainable? If not, okay, if yes, okay, so it's yes. B2B partners are re-racing is very viable. So one of the bottleneck that we have is uh the VPs. Like I mentioned this before, so in the session, like VPs, it has gone through like several layers of transition, these partners, right? So one thing is like we don't have the data. We can get from maybe HubSpot, but they don't have any more context of like where the partnership ended and stuff like that. So they will have to reach out to their alumni and sort of ask if they would still know, right? Still remember, basically. All right. Okay. So that is basically one of the bottleneck that we have, and a lot of VPs have also asked me about that. So they say we have approached this company before, and how do I reach them? Yes, and then I tell them how to reach them. The first question I ask is like, what is the context that what is the last context and what is the last contact that you had with the company, and they don't know, right? So without like knowing whether at least whether they did realization or not, like at least whether they had a good experience with Isaac or not, it's very difficult to like re-raise. So that is one of the bottleneck that we have. Um, yeah. And one thing that I suggested for next term also is to make B2B partners more sustainable. So for that, we is partner standards, right? So I have provided the link to partner standards in the presentation as well. So you can go like check it out and you can have your own strategies on how you want to maintain partner standards. I would say partner standards are maintained by the LCs, right? So how can MC actually enforce that? How can MC, yeah, in influence that, like convey the importance of partner standards, and what is the support, maybe trackers or something like that, because currently we don't have like a partner standard tracker, we only have exchange standard tracker. So there's something can look into maybe next time. Yeah. Okay, any other question? Present video is recorded. I think no, right? Okay, so from my side I will add the rest of the resources there, and you can wait, let me share this one again. Contact me for any clarification. And remember, if you are applying, contact the VPs, LCs, VPs, LCVPs, and try to contact maybe LCPs also of the LCs that are running iGTa. Maybe you can contact other LCPs about like expanding iGTa. That would be like really great. And also contact me and maybe Brendan also if need. Yeah, there's a lot of people you can contact. Okay, so that is basically it. Hope to see your applications. Whether, yeah. Okay, that is basically it, guys. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Sahan.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sahan. Have a good night.
yeah, good night. Good night.